Where do I even begin? Well, the current review for the show is still in the works, and knowing how lazy I am, it's probably going to stay that way for a lot longer. Deadpool and Wolverine and likeliness have been a huge topic as of late, and I figured I'd get myself some McEasy content and respond to a recent video. Now, I actually have to get kinda for real on this subject due to the context of those involved, as well as how I've had to wrestle with my thoughts on if I even should make this video, not to mention having to wrestle with the nature of the topic at hand, and providing everything in the best way possible for my thoughts in what I express throughout this video. Heads up, we're gonna get into some touchy-goey topics, however, I do have something very important to say, as this is a very important subject matter that I think we need to take a step back and recognize. If you've been here for the past 5 months, you'll be a bit aware that I was at one point a good friend with another content creator known as Ultimate Joker. He and I found each other and worked together on subject matters relating to Spider-Man, and even did a collab video on the subject of discourse regarding the modern designs of female characters in fiction and video games. There was a whole drama in itself with where that went. I didn't agree with everything he said, of course, but regardless, he and I were solid friends at the time, collabing and talking about one subject after another. It didn't last. About 2 months ago, he uploaded a video ripping into Spider-Man 2 yet again, but specifically for its LGBT inclusion. And at this point, I had already seen 1 or 2 other videos I hadn't before of his talking about the subject in a not great light. Usually when he discusses it, it's in a slightly negative fashion. He did make a point about it before when we first crossed paths in regards to Spider-Man 2 and how the gay subject matters in game, quote, didn't belong in a game that a bunch of 8-year-olds would play. I expressed my disagreement then, but was more than willing to look past it. After finally watching the other videos, I was super on edge, but was more than willing to give my friend benefit of the doubt. There was no way that he actually carries homophobic ideals, right? He doesn't have issues with gay people like that, right?
A common low IQ brain rot take is, oh,
it's 2024, people are just more accepting these days, and we're just stuck in the past.
Well, BC, whatever the fuck it was when God smote Sodom and Gomorrah called, they want their sexual deviancies back. It makes a lot of sense that the majority of parents who subscribe to a world religion, or even in China where it is largely atheist, yet homosexuality is frowned upon and even considered to be a mental illness, that they wouldn't want their kids being exposed to such things. Not even being performed by adults, but by children around age groups of the gamer, being portrayed in an unrealistically normal way, even for Western schools in 2024.
I even temporarily endured dating some black busing dyad claiming to be bi, with the hopes I'd purify that godless first world bullshit out of her. But she was also vegan, so I guess I should have known better. Now, back when the world made sense, your father in that time period probably would have taken that game away from a kid version of you had he saw you playing that shit in what's pretty much a kid's game, and had no idea something like that would be in the game. Funnily enough, I did instinctually leave those shitty school campus missions for last, as I had a feeling the worst of this game's shoehorned progressive missions would be there, as I've been on a college campus where that dog shit is all over the place in the modern day. I ended up arguing with so many loathsome human drones, which made me realize that this is indeed the hive where the dumb white women drones are made. If you're going to lie to yourself and say this is normal, then you can't be trusted with anything important in life, and maybe the best suggestion I could give you is this quote.
Your life is nothing. You serve zero purpose. You should kill yourself now.
When you make a 20+ minute video bashing a 15-minute side mission in a game with shitloads of other content, all just because gay people are involved and pride flags exist, and you weaponize a kid playing as your go-to palpable potential issue with said small submission, you've lost the plot. This one could get a whole video on its own, but somebody else already made an actually solid video on it. Rift missed the mark on a couple of points, but he was overall dead on the money, calling out Joker's blatant homophobia. Crazy how times have changed, huh? So, Joker made another video about how the X-Men are not representation for the LGBT and how there is a difference between racial discrimination and homosexual discrimination. I want to go over it as much as possible and why this rhetoric is really not a good one to have. Not just by today's standards in 2024, but in general due to the subject matter tying to both fiction and reality. So, let me get my most left-leaning look on possible and waste no time to get this show on the road.
The X-Men are not objectively some metaphor for the rainbow flag LGHDTV PDF movement. Stop trying to use this brand to justify your life decisions. Keyword there, decisions. The X-Men were meant to be a metaphor for race. Mutants are people born with unique abilities or appearances that cause them to be discriminated against by regular humans. Race can be compared to this as nobody can choose their skin tone that they're born with, or the skin tone that they have to live with and be judged upon day to day for every second of their life. The thing that one does with their genitals, on the other hand, is a choice, and not something that someone is born with, like race or fictional mutations.
Get ready, because Joker's gonna harp on this point relentlessly as he feels the need to explain that there's a distinction to always be made between racial prejudice and prejudice towards homosexuals. I don't know why he feels the need to make this distinction, or how it discredits the fact that prejudice is just as bad for both groups. Who knows? Surely he doesn't just have a thing against homosexuals, right? No way.
Ooh, I wonder what this does. Oh, I'm gay now. Huh.
It's quite horrible and selfish how these foolish types of people tried to take what was clearly a race metaphor and try to pervertedly distort it into their lifestyle choices and pretend that it's just objectively the case, and that you're some sort of bigot for not perceiving the X-Men this way.
Okay, really nailing out the extremists here, which is fine, but to act as if X-Men are exclusively a race-based metaphor in their themes is a little odd in this day and age. X-Men was giving off a theme for civil rights, not to judge others for being different or even performing different acts. This can totally be the narrative without being pushed to a breaking point, or going overboard with inclusion of diversity that Joker is so afraid of. Also, I don't know why Joker takes everything related to being gay as some twist and turns it directly into crazy extremes like this one. I doubt this truly represents what Pride is supposed to be about here.
We'll take a brief look at the most highly regarded X-Men media with the 90s X-Men TV series, where there was no LGBTP metaphors to be found at all, from what I remember, as I actually watched it recently, not counting the weird non-binary thing they did with Morphin, the modern continuation, which was rightfully met with some backlash.
What? Why? The dude was created from the show itself and actively changes from lots of people, guys and girls. Big deal. Like, I doubt his core character was even remotely changed at the end of the day. Okay, here, how about this? Tell me how different these two are, please.
This shocking incident at New Salem Mall is just part of the growing menace of mutant violence.
My fellow Americans, I am an idiot.
Aggression, a new scent for men.
Aggression by Calvin Klein. Was this girl kidnapped by mutants? Film at 11.
Mall violence. Film at 11.
I'd get in there alone. Easy.
No, Storm will take 3 X-Men in with her. Wolverine, and Beast, and Morph.
If it makes you feel any better, Gambit. I go in like this, huh?
Rogue is right, Cyclops. Scott, while I trust that all my students would gladly die for my dream of a better future, where both human and mutant live free of your total disdain for fun...
Stop being a creep, Morph.
Thought you were gonna slice Summer's head off back there. Want to talk about it?
Let's just find this trust fund baby and get out of here, Morph.
I know what's wrong. How? Why, I'm Jean Grey, humble telepath extraordinaire, and I'm having the most beautiful baby in the world with the most boring man in the world, and oh, hello you on the sidelines, watching our exhausting perfection every day.
I don't understand. Please, explain to me how Morph's character is butchered due to now being non-binary. I doubt that many people really care besides those who make a bigger deal of it than what it is. His demeanor is quite literally the exact same, and given the fact that this is a character who, again, can turn into other people regardless of gender, I'd say this isn't really that wild.
There was even a scene in the 90s X-Men series where Wolverine started going to church after taking Nightcrawler's suggestions. You guys arguing with me should find God and do the same. God knows this message would not be in modern Marvel media today, sadly.
Really? God knows what fictional characters created by other people would invoke in their messages and themes in media? Okay. Does God also know why Bihan decided to jump into the portal after Havoc?
You took my coffee nugget! No respect!
If you need any more proof that Joker is completely swallowed into his own ego and beliefs that he's never willing to reconcile or reevaluate or even take in proper pushback without dismissing the person giving said pushback as a complete retard he shouldn't listen to, here's one of many clips. Joker then goes on to list examples of comics going politically extreme with retcons for the sake of representation. And he's not entirely wrong, but this doesn't just apply to LGBT. When you're going out of your way to bash the audience of your story over the head with a political point, you're naturally gonna drive the audience away, and hell, it doesn't even have to be a political point. Hence why these comics were never really well regarded. We already know the shit's bad. What does this have to do with why X-Men wouldn't represent other diverse groups? Oh, that's right, nothing. Joker's just going out of the way to shit on the gay community and harp on its bad actors that don't represent the core crux of the proper movement or what Pride really stands for.
Despite some shills trying to defend this crap, the movies on these characters would bomb if they pulled crap like this. Outside of crappy comics, you may be able to pick out one or two lines from the movies that may slightly insinuate some homosexual theme, but it's usually too subtle to count, hence why the X-Men movies didn't get banned in other countries, such as Spider-Verse 2 getting banned for a trans kid flag, along with all the bullshit in Insomniac Spider-Man 2 that got heavily censored.
Yeah, and those places missed out on a hella good movie. I don't see what this proves just because other regions are more cutthroat. Bro, not everyone even noticed that poster. If anything, the fact that this whole movie was banned in other regions just for that is even sadder, and it's not even on this movie's end just for its inclusion. Like, you're really not helping your case with this. Why ban the movie when you could just edit that out if you're that bothered by it?
Morph being retconned into being non-binary was met with backlash, as said before. And I guess there's the statement of Deadpool being pansexual in the movies, but even that one doesn't matter as we see him in a regular relationship with a woman and all the gay moments are treated like jokes, similar to memes that have that sexuality as a punchline. Unlike crap like The Boys, or the bastardization of Lando from Star Wars, who they made pansexual, even though the word essentially didn't exist in anyone's vocabulary at the time of his first appearance in 1980.
We already covered Morph. There's no real reason for his character to receive such backlash since his character hasn't been altered to such a high degree, and it's again a character born from the show and its continuation. I can't speak on Star Wars, but the boys have tackled homosexual themes in the past. Hell, this is a show that mocks how media panders to LGBT only for the sake of money. This is an adult show meant for adults, and it tackles many mature themes that relate to the real world. Believe it or not, in the real world, gay people exist. Also, it's hilarious because Joker literally made the point that homosexual themes should stay in adult-related media, but when The Boys, an adult show, does it, he instantly gets tight.
At this point, I guess I better clarify that I don't really care about people swinging the other way in the privacy of their own areas, or even in certain games, but those certain games are usually rated M, such as Mass Effect, Cyberpunk, and Baldur's Gate. I'll repeat that taking race-related issues and trying to make it about yourself and your personal decisions of swinging the other way is really messed up.
But this isn't the case. X-Men tackling prejudice isn't just a racial issue, so you can make it about other topics people are discriminated against for as well as they apply. So long as it isn't anything too crazy, I guarantee you could never actually explain what's wrong with two consenting adults of the same gender having feelings for each other without including your fairy god in it, or instantly pointing to some extreme examples that aren't the rule just because you've got no other solid point. Joker continuously refers to really bad actors in extreme examples whenever referring to the LGBT community, which is frustrating and bad faith as hell.
It's a choice, and I can't really take that community seriously when they say it isn't a choice due to how dishonest they can be when they lie to themselves about their gender, unlike Thailand, that may have a bunch of traps, but they at least have the decency to call themselves lady boys instead of pretending they're the real deal and trying to get into the wrong bathroom. Lesbian women on Tinder are apparently forced to deal with men identifying as lesbian women when swiping. You overly open-minded guy-ats open the door for this bullshit, so I don't really feel too bad about it. You reap what you sow.
You heard it here first, folks. If you're a lesbian on Tinder just trying to find someone for a potential relationship, you deserve to be met with creeps online as the price to be paid for the awful crime of being attracted to the same gender. I don't even know what to say to represent how sad that point is from Joker. I really don't.
The dishonesty is just too much, and I could keep going. Men that swing the other way just act like women, and women aren't really that honest on average, to be honest.
What the fuck?
What do I even say to such a horrible generalization like that? Like, goddamn, I'm sorry that girls have said these things to you, I guess, but Not really. People are people. People are complicated as hell and will say lots of stuff they probably don't mean. I don't know what to tell you. You just sound hurt.
You guys know about the zesty gay voice, right? Those men say that's just how they sound and it isn't a fake voice, but doctors put them under the influence of drugs, such as morphine, which numbs their cognitive abilities. Those same doctors have reported that the voice goes away completely when they get the high that prevents them from willfully and consciously speaking in such a way which therefore objectively means that they're lying, whether it be to others or themselves. They can't be trusted on the claims of it not being a choice if they lie for something as basic as that.
Okay, I don't even know what that has to do with anything here, but if saying this makes you feel better, I don't even understand why this one is brought up. Apparently it's to show that people can't be trusted when they claim gay attraction is natural, but this is a horrible example. Who cares if people are lying to themselves about what they sound like? So what? Joker is so obsessed with frivolous, petty things that have no real significance whatsoever and then utilizes that as a point as if it helps the case.
Hey, Postscript Katana's here, and I actually had to rush over to record this on my PS5, so that's why things sound the way they sound. Anyway, I actually thought about it for 2 seconds more than what was said here, and I actually looked into this, and I cannot find one drug that doctors give exclusively for quote zesty voices, especially when it comes to morphine. Morphine is primarily to help pain management and relief, and takes an effect to the opioid receptors. It's a pain drug, a risky pain drug. Its risks include headaches and fatigue, along with other issues like addiction, which can quickly turn for the worse. Morphine can affect the vocal cords, however, I wouldn't say that's a good thing. It can enlarge your vocal cords, but mostly due to swelling, and that's not very good for your respiratory system. You're gonna have a hard time breathing if this happens. Even if a drug like this will have this effect on your voice, why on earth would you want to take it given its side effects just for your voice? This is the stuff you want for dealing with surgery or giving birth. Like, I looked into it for over 2 hours and found nothing supporting this artificially. If this is true and I just did a bad job researching, I'll gladly admit it, but I really couldn't find anything for this point. So either Joker made this claim up or he was too stupid to properly include a receipt for this. This is a big claim that you wouldn't want to make without a receipt. Either way, Supreme Intelligence is on full display here, obviously. One more thing, let's say that this is true, and doctors and professionals do give out drugs like this for heightened voices. Wouldn't this further solidify the point that that kind of thing truly can't be helped if they need a legitimate drug in order to nullify what they hardly are able to control subconsciously? Like, if this is true, then didn't Joker just prove himself wrong with his own logic, if that's really how this works, that it truly can't be helped? Either way, if you're really that concerned over your voice, just really try hard to put some more bass into it. It's a lot better than a drug of all things. Alright, Post Katan's out.
I'm not saying they're not allowed to exist,
but I will bash and dehumanize them as much as possible and take away any credibility when it comes to the discrimination they deal with. I'm sorry.
As people with their weird sexual behavior, such as the BDSM community, have always existed, but that stuff stayed in the bedroom, instead of being promoted in media with a large percentage of child viewers like Spider-Man.
This is a horrible comparison. There's a difference between sexual activity and kinks versus two people of the same gender having feelings for one another. The act of sex and being gay do not instantly conflate with each other by nature like that. And again, those child viewers are not gonna notice or even care for those gay references in any way besides, look, a rainbow in a Spider-Man game. Now sure, you can argue that parents should be the ones deciding when and how their children should be exposed to this sort of thing, because it can be a touchy topic in that area for younger ones. But in this instance, not only do I reject the ideas that kids will be so heavily impacted by one scene like this, but I also don't think you really care about the children in this instance and are instead trying to weaponize kids as your way to say there's something inherently wrong with being gay or the gay community, as it's always guaranteed to have some sort of bad factor that can harm your kids in some way. Please, there can be bad factors to many things that can dangerously impact a child, but those bad factors are not the rule for everything. Your kid isn't gonna become gay just because he saw two guys hold hands in Spider-Man 2. Actually, you know what? This clip is literally perfect when it comes to the subject.
Respect minorities.
Spider-Man.
Respect minorities.
Fuck! They fucking ruined it with their woke trash! It wasn't like this when I was a kid!
Overall, discrimination is bad when someone is being judged for what they cannot help, and not whatever the fuck you guys decide to do as a choice.
He goes on and on and on, repeating the same point and going on these annoying tangents that you can't help but wonder why X-Men is even in the title. It serves a good 20% of the video. Now, this last part is out of order around the 2-minute mark, but I want to respond to it because it's the best way for me to close out this whole thing.
That fighting discrimination was objectively a theme within X-Men media, but I'll repeat, it's over things that aren't a choice. Take this scene as an example.
They're doing what? That does it! Alright, wise guy. You and your freako comrades can just hit the road! I don't understand. Is there a problem? I'll either serve you jerks from the college, but I ain't putting up with any trouble from their kind.
Skin color prejudice? That's so pathetic, it's almost quaint.
It ain't quaint.
There's no scene like that for LGBT stuff within the original 90s X-Men series, because that is a choice.
Where do I even begin? This isn't the reason a scene like this is void for other communities. There could be many reasons, but not because it's a choice. The idea that Joker wants to push so bad that there's a difference between discrimination upon race and discrimination upon homosexuals is so obnoxious and uncaring and flat out just inconsistent. Prejudice is prejudice, regardless if you're a different race, gender, or different person of sexual orientation. Joker's entire rhetoric is that the reason it's worse to be prejudiced towards race is because it's something we're born into and can't be controlled. But the rhetoric, just like his last homophobic video, directly insinuates and doesn't shy away from the idea that there's something inherently wrong with being a homosexual. Hence why he feels the need to outline the difference and outline how people could just not be gay according to him, or keep it to themselves as to avoid offending anyone by having feelings for someone of the same gender. Which is just sad as hell. Imagine having genuine feelings for somebody and that person having feelings towards you, only for people like this to be obsessed with dehumanizing you for it. X-Men is literally about marginalized people being judged and treated harshly just for being different. I'm supposed to believe even for 2 seconds that these guys wouldn't stand up for other marginalized groups like people of other races or sexualities? I don't care how much you want to argue about it being a choice. Even if it is, it doesn't matter. It doesn't give an inch of justification for mistreatment towards these groups. Joker is so obsessed with the distinction between race and sexuality due to the quote-unquote choice. But if the choice is so important to be highlighted, then wouldn't that make it okay to be racist by that logic if we were given the ability to choose our skin tone and background upon birth? No, obviously it wouldn't. No one deserves to be mistreated or looked down upon for what they're born into, just as no one should be looked down upon for their way of life, so long as they aren't doing anything too morally wrong. Sure, you can say some behavior is weird or strange compared to others, but we live in a weird, strange world. Weird is the new normal at this point. And again, what's important is that the act in itself isn't harming yourself or others or putting them in any sort of discomfort in any way, shape, or form. And none of what I'm saying is to discredit points of the extremists on the subject matter, but again, everything has super hardcore extreme points to them. Where they start off may be solid and reasonable and innocent, but once they're dragged brutally far in that direction, it becomes unhinged. The LGBT community is not the only example of having bad factors. How dishonest could one be if they came up here gaslighting the BLM movement primarily because you can find videos online of white people getting assaulted by black people? Or how many riots went down during so many protests? Should we now bash BLM due to that alone? Or okay, how about the negative bad actors when it comes to religion? And just roll with me, this isn't to bash any of the groups listed or anything like that at all. But what about extreme aspects of religion and Christianity that just come straight up to cult-like behavior? Like, dog, there's a whole channel from a former Jehovah's Witness going into how much of an indoctrination the whole thing could be. You should go check them out, by the way. And guess what? I'm not going to sit here and act like those bad factors are the norm for every single group as if those groups deserve to be judged harshly for those aspects alone. What matters is the core crux and true message behind those movements. That's why Pride and BLM exist, because the core message isn't one to vilify in any way, shape, or form. It's a message to ensure civil rights are upheld. The same message X-Men is about. That's why I'm saying this and why I decided to talk about this all here anyway. Everyone has their own way of life, some a bit stranger than others. We're not meant to judge or discriminate anyone for those things or treat them as less than or invalidate the prejudice they go through. This video is just wrong. There is no way the X-Men who are victims of bigotry wouldn't be willing to stand up for other victims of bigotry, regardless if they can help it or not, like Joker wants to say. And that's another reason this is important too. Joker's talking points are the type of talking points that can literally inspire hatred towards these groups and solidify it with half logics. People will use this as their ammo to justify their hate or bigoted worldviews. So many people are already down to weaponize their religion to berate homosexuals or other groups with the flawless logic of "because my God says so." These are the exact rhetorics people can utilize for repeated statements like this. And I'm not in any way trying to bash religion. Everybody has their own answer to the world, and I think that's great. We gotta be better than this, man. We're not meant to judge others, and if you think we are, then you don't deserve any mercy from harsh judgment either. This is the key thing I want the takeaway to really be from whoever sees this. The X-Men represent civil rights, like it or not, and it doesn't just apply to one group. Joker is wrong. I want to end this on a more positive note, but I really just don't know how. I just don't think people should have this mindset when looking at certain groups. Anyway, you know I never know how to end these, so yeah, you know, stay woke, respect minorities, and don't forget to eat the well-salted eggs that I made for you before you go to work. Okay, bye. Oh, but it ain't over yet. The package gets even spicier through the cardboard or whatever. I made a poll getting y'all's ready for the upcoming video. Joker himself saw it and got a little ass mad when making a quick response in his own, as well as sending his Discord commune over to play with my polling. Thanks for screenshotting what the results were like before and after your audience voted, showing just where said results came from. I really wonder where the spike on the other option came from in this poll. Anyway, let's read what our former friend said about me. I don't know why I'm doing that, I'm just gonna read it in a regular voice. Well, hopefully this won't give a certain stalking Gollum lookalike gremlin the excuse to make an 8th response video or 14th or so community post on me, but it looks like someone else may be throwing their disingenuous hat into the ring over me stating that zesty LGHD TV stuff shouldn't be in a game that will have a large percentage of kid viewers like Spider-Man, unlike rated M video games like Mass Effect, Baldur's Gate, and Cyberpunk. And he really likes repeating his points word for word, bar for bar. I can almost guarantee Rift is not thinking about you as much as you're thinking about him. This video mentions him along with a few others. Pretty sure after you claim to be done responding to him in your lengthy video, you still dedicated to giving him shoutouts in other videos having nothing to do with him. And you're probably still gonna do it to this day. And as far as that whole representation thing goes, I will repeat for the 4th lettered time, no one cares besides you. Why were you making this big of a deal for the Lady Gloria in the Miles Morales game? She's gay, and that's like 2 separate interactions where you talk to her and her girlfriend. And we already went over how your words on gay stuff being in more mature games don't really hold up since you freaked out over the boys. The mere community post is already off to a bad start given that my video specified young children as opposed to the general grown gamer. I guess he and the other losers just wanted to go off of the thumbnail regardless of what the actual title and video says. Yeah, no, I just didn't specify younger players like that. I don't think it really matters in this instance anyway, since it's more of a broad term, not just specific to kids in this instance. And in your own words, we already know good and damn well that kids are going to be playing this Spider-Man game regardless, so I don't see how that detracts from the poll itself. I also don't know where you get this idea from. It's really not that deep. I don't care about your stupid thumbnail. He was afraid of the cancel culture backlash when he pussied out of agreeing upon MJ being unrealistically ugly only for his community post to be below 20 votes before I tagged the server to lend him a generous helping hand. It takes a strong man to deny what's right in front of him, and if the truth is undeniable, you create your own. And you know what? At least Rift is capable of admitting when he's wrong and apologizing for it. It's what caused me to push past our issues. Joker, on the other hand, is not ever willing to do this and will instead fabricate things in his head based off of very little to go on. It's hard not to read through this without wondering if Joker is actually delusional or just putting on a front. Let's actually think about this for like 2 seconds, shall we? I never shied away from bashing any aspect of Spider-Man 2, let alone MJ's appearance. I don't recall ever going back on my words there and still feel the same criticism towards the game overall is still there. I was literally saying the same thing even before I met Joker about the whole woke allegation towards the game. This is still an alternate take on the character, and Peter isn't completely out of the picture for this world, so why should it even bother you? Oh wow, Black Cat has a girlfriend even though she's already been bi in the comics. Oh no, you play as a deaf girl in an optional side mission. please, grow up. The only thing I'll really grant you is that MJ looked better in the last game and is still annoying to play as in this game. To me, this game does still have significant flaws. However, some flaws are more blown out of proportion over others. Regardless, when I speak on this game, I will never hold back when I point out the flaws of it, and the last thing I'm worried about is cancel culture over Spider-Man of all things when it comes to me here on YouTube. So please, don't accuse me of some dumb shit like that, because it's just blatantly not true. You're fighting a ghost right now. A ghost katana. I get that you miss me and all, given how you never stopped reaching out to me when we were cool, but come on now. And again, the people you sent my way didn't help the case at all, given that your audience made the influence to the poll that happened. I really appreciate the screenshots again. But yeah, stick to animating cool fight scenes and soft porn. I really don't know why he doesn't just say porn with his track record of thumbnails, as well as how he acts like he hates censorship, especially when it comes to censoring himself. But don't worry, I'll have a special animation cooked up just for you, pal. Instead of saying words of little substance as soon as you talk about a serious grown-up topic, as you regurgitate a bunch of words that only some victim of first world indoctrination spouts, as you flip-flop and argue with your own quoted words of calling MJ ugly, only to backpedal as soon as my harsh, honest words hit dumb stand viewers. Shut up, Brody, with those diluted and untrue statements about others. I never once backpedaled on any of my criticisms or negative statements towards the game or the face model that you're so obsessed with. I still hold my views. I stopped being okay with the things you had to say once you started making rhetorics that were hinging upon actual bigotry, like you did with this video as you did before. And let the record show that it was you who didn't want to have the grown-up conversation with me on that video as soon as I was ready to confront you about it. At least not without having your bestie Rezikin to back you up. You are doing the same thing I called you out on before. Anytime somebody has a point of pushback to throw towards Joker, anytime he insists he's right about something, he is instantly ready to wave off whatever you have to say and dismiss you as someone not worth listening to. And to prove it, I'm gonna end this off with something. Joker, I know you're watching and I know there's a good chance you're gonna respond, so I challenge you to respond at this point right here. Please don't exclude this either. A user named Repost Rodeo confronted you and criticized you for how quick you are to redirect points in conversations you're having. Just like you did to him when he initially pointed that out and you did your signature Joker dismissal. But it was even worse as you became increasingly deranged with every single time you spoke to him. So I'm gonna reframe the original point he made, and if you can't directly respond, it shows you have no ground to stand on truly and can't keep up with the topics pulled at hand. With your obsession with the new MJ face, which is honestly kind of a concerning fixation, but regardless, I'm gonna ask, would you hate your friends if they started liking a girl's appearance that you didn't like? For example, keyword example, a face that looked like this one. Would you or would you not be able to respect someone's attraction or choice to be with a woman who looks like that? I really wonder what the answer is gonna be, and if Joker successfully derails the answer to something else, then it goes to show there's really no point in continuing to talk to someone who's done nothing but make relentless, assertive, stupid correlations that don't add up. You say one thing he doesn't like and then he'll be the first one to instantly assume your positions on something you never said. And if he does lose respect for someone, let alone his friends, for dating a girl he finds below average, it goes to show just how fucked up Joker is in this, because why are you so bothered by who someone else is dating? Oh wait! If this is the case, then even further potential doubt is completely removed that Joker is a homophobe, plain and simple. Because if he can't even respect a straight relationship between two people who look ugly, how can anyone believe he'd have slight respect for a gay relationship? I really wonder what his answer is, because he never answered it when Rodeo asked.
I'm not defending that game overall, but I just don't really think that their Wonder Woman is ugly. If I made a community post introducing my new girlfriend as someone who looks like this, then nobody would think I settled.
I'm sorry, but if your friend group are willing to judge you that badly, whether or not your girlfriend is hot or not, then that is a sign that either you are a shit person and you attract the wrong groups of people, or it's a sign that you just need new friends, cause those fuckers ain't your homies.
Joker is quite literally the guy who insists he's right on certain subjects and will not tolerate any pushback on it without instantly dismissing you as a whole, and going on to proclaim that he truly could never be wrong on things he says. Common sense alone should tell you that it's really hard to like somebody who thinks of themselves that way. I too can become very, very unhinged when it comes to stupid shit. Just look at how I talk about Mortal Kombat. And I'm not talking about the story here. I'll gladly tell you right now, I've got a lot of things I need to improve on overall, not just as a content creator. I, however, cannot say that this would be the case for Joker. I don't know, but I'm guessing his superiority complex wouldn't allow him to admit anything. Joker unironically thinks he can change the world, change the mindsets of others while actively proclaiming himself superior via his entire brand. That he can basically whiplash others into submission and isolate people he views as drones or from other people he finds intelligent. I've had this conversation with Joker multiple times when we were on better terms, and to outline that this is the worst mindset to have when you're in this kind of content. If you're so eager and down to dismiss people just off your disagreements you're so passionate about, you're essentially robbing yourself of getting better interactions with people who would actually be intelligent and you'd otherwise agree with them on other subject matters. Hence, exactly why I brought up rodeo in this instance. Even if you want to dismiss me as some libtard who doesn't know what he's talking about, I feel like it'd be worse if I came up here with the mindset of trying to bully others into my own and ideology. Honestly, at this point, I really just wish Joker and I flat out didn't cross paths to begin with. He really wasn't a bad friend, but in retrospect, it really just wasn't meant to be. And I should have adhered to the signs that were there, no matter how subtle. It would have also saved me a lot of headaches with some minor drama and disputes. I'm not saying I'm better than him or anyone for that matter, but I hope whoever sees this can at least get a better understanding of why I don't want to be friends with someone like this. Someone so arrogant, so rash, so overboard and uncaring, so fixated and so full of himself. Good luck out there, Joker, and try not to dive too far into the abyss that takes you to the same extreme place you claim to fight against. But hey, with the things you've already said, you may already be there and you haven't even realized it yet.
I guess that's it. I really wanted to be a hero, you know? But I just can't. I know you used me. I know. I should hate you for that. But I don't. Because I had such a good time with you, Bruce. Did you ever think of me as your friend?
Of course. Of course you were my friend.
You are one